So the hill to die on is a tricky question, which befuddles, I think, every political actor of all time. It's like, should I die on this hill, or should I just, I don't care. And, well, there's one in the modern time, at least of the American left, which even I don't get. Like, they've died on some weird friggin' hills. I mean, like, the whole Black Lives Matter movement, pick any martyr, weird hill to die on. I mean, the lady who was stabbing other black people in her house before the cops turned up and shot her was a weird one. That didn't go very far.
Jacob Blake, for example, who...
Wasn't even thinking of him.
Well, yeah, but convicted... Well, actually, had a restraining order against the baby mama and was in the process of digitally raping her and reaching for a knife when the cop shot him in self-defense. And Kamala Harris decided to show up to the hospital and pay deference to his family.
He was a wonderful pillar of the community. But no, we're talking about instead, how about I teach blowjobs to kids? I mean, that is the weirdest one I've ever seen.
Oh, joy this again.
We'll start off with mentioning something on Lotus.com being the origins of intersectionality, because, of course, if you want to know the ideological origins of such a human being, starts with Kimberly. So go and check that out.
Noodlehead.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding in this case. We'll go to the link here. This is the thing that went viral. NBC's news reporting of it. An Illinois teacher offered her middle schoolers a best-selling LGBTQ-themed book. Parents filed a police report over her book choice. How could they do this? Look at this innocent lady. I've even broken something there. But this innocent lady over here, who is smiling, so how could she be bad, is holding up a book. You know, how could that... It's just a book. Just words on a page.
Yeah, Roz from Monsters, Inc. looks totally trustworthy.
Yeah, how could this happen to me? Played in the background as she was taken away in cuffs for some reason or something. Yeah, it turns out news media lying. Big shock. In fact, you can scroll down there. I think Twitter has a little note that's just like, that's not the book. It's a different book.
Right.
It's another kind of book with a different title.
Can I point out that her last name is Bonner?
Yeah. Bonner, over here, 42. She gave an interview to Today.com, which NBC is reporting on. She is quoted as saying, "We just read and celebrate books."
Right. Okay.
We just read books. Such as This Book is Gay, which was the book entitled. For reasons, just to tell the kids, the gays, they exist. Anyway, that concludes our lesson. I don't think you need a whole book for that, would you? No. One of the books titled was Juno Dawson's This Book is Gay. It's best-selling non-fiction book, which, it's really non-fiction.
Informative instruction manual.
Yeah, for anyone coming out as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or trans.
Right, so that's interesting.
At the age of 11.
So an instruction manual on the matters of sexuality for children.
Yeah, well, specifically, homosexual sex, bisexual sex, which I think is kind of redundant, and also coming out as trans, which has nothing to do with those, but okay. By Wednesday, I received notice that parents had gotten hold of pictures from the book their children had taken in class, Bonner says. By Friday, I was told the parents had filed a police report against me, for who knows. They said they filed it for child endangerment.
Right.
Yes. The notion that I was putting children in danger because of books... I didn't feel safe, Bonner says. I knew I couldn't go back. Yeah, she was scared of those damn evil parents who want to kill school teachers for giving kids books.
I'm going to guess that this was pornographic.
I mean, I just got to ask. The media really do try their best to just completely mislead people as to the facts of the case. I mean, this is one of my, I think, all-time favourites here. It was just like, local lady reads book to children and hostile parents try to kill her. Yeah, that's all there is to this. Don't look any further, citizen. In fact, we shall. At another LGBT book. There we are. Big jugs with Lexi and Kaylee over there. An LGBT classic, I'm sure. How could anyone say that giving such a thing to children would be inappropriate? I have no idea. Yeah, it turns out the book in question is not just a helpful little pamphlet on the gays. They exist. No, it's not like that. It's a bit more. It's a little bit more. We have here the ins and outs of gay sex.
Oh, God.
With very, very light, I'm sure. Just, they do that, they do that. No, we're going to go quite in detail. Instead, says the book, we're going to try and probably end up censoring this on YouTube if it's too bad, but I'm trying not to. We'll go to the next link here, where we have boy-on-boy sex, and then scat porn. Because that's sex, apparently.
Yeah, so for our audio listeners, I'm sorry for traumatizing you. They genuinely have definitions in there for rimming, which is licking the bottom, and scat, eating poop. And
a whole bunch of others. This is the redhead libertarian here responding to someone being like, it's just a book about teaching kids that the gays exist. I don't know. I feel like this is more a kink tab section.
Yeah, well, so let's put it this way: if a male school teacher had an interview with the media where he was saying, "Look, I was just showing pro LGBT videos. I was just showing instructional videos about acceptance," and then we find out he is showing two girls, one cup in a classroom, we would have the same reaction.
But he would be doing it for hateful reasons, whereas our hero over here is doing it to liberate the gays.
I mean, the two girls, one cup girls are certainly liberated.
I'm liberating the gays by showing that to your kids. Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean by it's a weird hill to die on.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone has to pick a hill at some point, I suppose. You say, no further. For Jordan Peterson, it was, I will not be forced to do compelled speech, especially for things I do not believe. And that was a pretty good hill. Yeah, fight the battle. I want to teach kids about scat porn because I'm a teacher in 8th grade. Is not the one I was expecting from an American leftist in my lifetime, but what was I expecting, really? How far they've gone already. The next one here is just inside the book. They have instructions on how to use Tinder and Grindr, because if you're 11, you might need that. Right.
I'm still playing Club Penguin.
How sex apps work. Upload a tiny pic of yourself to the app. The app works out your location. The app tells you who your nearest homosexuals are. You chat to them because they are near. It's easy to meet up with them. Yes, for 11-year-olds. Critical reading, I'm sure. How else would you make it in life? I certainly didn't, without knowing how to use Grindr. It's been ruined. It's the one thing that's held me back from being an astrophysicist. No, it's not. We also have the next one here, in which we have them whining about not teaching kids about gay sex. 11. I mean, the author in question is ranting in the book like some schizoid on 4chan.
Yeah, it's in all caps. It says, "I challenge any politician to discuss this with me." In all caps, I will ruin them.
So they start off, the fact they didn't also teach you about same-sex couples is nothing less than institutionalized homophobia. Talking of the schooling system here.
Right.
Straight sex was presented to you as the norm.
Well, it is.
To make 5% of the population feel abnormal.
Well, you by definition are,
do
because...
we even try?
Yeah.
As someone who doesn't even get that, you're trying to make the 5% seem like they're abnormal.
Yes.
What is the definition of the word normal?
Well, we've
What do you want?
We've kind of evolved those apparatus to reproduce with them, and so if they're non-reproductive acts, then yeah, they kind of are self-negating and abnormal, so they shouldn't be promoted.
But you don't even have to talk about the thing. Just numbers.
Yeah.
The 95% is presented as normal, whereas the 5% is presented as abnormal. It's like, yeah, that's how math works. Your definitions, you're fucking brainlet.
Are you reading the next line by any chance? Because we have to censor my reaction for YouTube.
Is there something icky about gay sex? Is there something wrong with it? I challenge any politician to discuss this with me, and in all caps, I will ruin them. Schizoid posting is all I have to say about that. This person is schizoid posting in their book, clearly sane, and the teacher in question was like, you know what, this is definitely appropriate for 11-year-olds. There's also the last thing, being the Pornhub's tab of tabs available. If we get the last one here.
What?
It's called a cheat sheet, but it's literally just full of, here's all the words you might want to look up if you want to look up this thing, including the scat, of course. Because, yeah, that's... I mean, there's a real difference here.
There's water sports and golden shower in there.
Point being, sex education, kink education. Can we make the distinction? I think we can. I think most adults could. I think a teacher definitely could, and then decided not to. In the classroom, in this case. Because, you know, the hill she had to die on was...
Glory holes.
I want to teach kids about, well, how to be a sub and a dom to these 11-year-olds. Because at least all the other books that we've gone over and have been banned, the reason they were banned was they're, like, showing off, here's how gay people have sex, and there's, like, someone giving someone a blowjob or something, right? Which, you know, imagery. And, yeah, wrong. But at least you could argue, okay, this is a form of sex. Like, if you've got some gay kids in the classroom, stretch of an argument, but you could make it. Which is like, well, we need to, you know, let them know you can do this instead of that, and then, you know, lower chance of STI or something. And you could rationalize it through that lens of public health or something. Instead, we have a lady here who's just like, yeah, I'm literally just going to pull out everything from a kink website and teach it to the kids.
Well, do you want to know something disturbing? So basically, this list was in Swindon Town Council's Sex and Education Guidebook that Josh and I reported on and forwarded to Parliament. And as soon as we reported on it, they took it down from the website. So they're taking their lead from these people.
Who, can be trusted with your kids, I am sure.
And you're paying for that.
I love the last thing here, though. Someone did Photoshop just the list instead over the book she was holding. So there we are. I mean, it might have looked a bit weird in the thumbnail if she was like, I'm just an
Yeah.
innocent hero who's been picked on by his teachers. Yeah. What book was she holding, though? Everyone seemed to have missed this.
Right.
Because it's a pretty open shut case of is she in the right or the wrong? Yeah, she's obviously in the wrong. Real question on my mind, though, and obviously every time this happens, people ask the same thing. Why are all the teachers like this now?
Yeah.
Why is it the case that for some reason, teachers when I was young, here's how to do addition and subtraction. Teachers now, have you tried this kink of eating? Yeah.
Excrement.
Well, we have her instead. We have her background because she wrote the book in question that she was holding there, Igniting Social Action in the ELA Classroom, Inquiry as Disruption.
Right. So she's just a communist.
Well, let's not judge a book by its cover. Let's judge it by its content, which is not better.
I mean, it has it on its cover.
Yeah, but so on the foreword here, written by someone else describing the book, of course, so we'll just go through this real quick. Throughout, Bonner demonstrates how inquiry breaks away from traditional forms of education that are historically rooted in capitalism, settler colonial legacies. It's going to be good. Who gets to disrupt and who gets to label something as disruption? These are acts maintained by adults and often funneled through white privilege. Okay. Your race, your gender, your various markers of cultural identity do not impair your ability to be a disruptor. Frankly, if you match the general demographics of the teaching profession, if you're a white woman reading this, you have an advantage and an obligation to disrupt, boldly, loudly, and in solidarity with your students and with the BIPOC members of school communities. This is exactly what the authors are doing in the pages that follow.
Right, this is just typical Freirean critical pedagogy, where Paulo Freire decided to say, what we should do in the classroom is disrupt the hierarchy so that teachers and students are on the same level, so that rather than telling students to behave, teachers should be receptive to the innocence of the students, to decondition the teacher from all of their pre-societal prejudices, and in turn, the teacher should condition them with Marxist rhetoric, so they're constantly revolutionizing each other.
Well, I don't know about in this case, because that's not how she defines what she's doing.
Well, she's saying disruption, like that is...
Yeah, she's using the word, but
Yeah.
it's not exactly what she means in the sense there. Because I went on to read her writings. I mean, she starts off with the first line is literally, we need to state this up front, I'm white and able-bodied, also straight and cisgender. I'm not reading anymore when someone says something like that, but we did. And, because, I mean, when someone's sitting there just telling you endlessly about themselves, it's just like, okay, you're not really any use to me then, because you're in your own little world. And it's like, I'm a white woman. Oh, there we are. Okay, cool. Shut up. I don't want to listen to it. But she goes on to say that she basically tried to indoctrinate her students. This is her definition of disruption, which is she at first introduced conversations on a wide scale about, society and inequality, because that's valid. We're talking about inequity, and that's on the school curriculum. And then would expand it to some crap that happened in the news recently, BLM nonsense or whatever, right? And then she says, literally when George Floyd happened, they needed to go further. And she decided that, no, I will literally introduce conversations about race in every goddamn situation I can. That's her definition here. She says, in no way is she hiding this either. She literally spells it out in the learning goals. Quote, we ask students to consider how language choices and individuals' experiences impact the larger whole. Through identifying these details, students begin to find entry points into doing the work of igniting social change. Okay, so you went into teaching. You wrote a book about what you do as a teacher. And the one big thing about what you do is turn students into...
a revolutionary vanguard.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hidden.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find when they're publishing your book with it in. And the school in question here was just like, I don't know. I thought she was just an innocent little white woman. No. Like, you have to screen your employees, surely, and apparently not. In any case. When the person comes to you hiring for the job and is like, here's my pronouns, also my job is to turn the kids into leftist vanguards. You're hired. I mean, again, it's not a surprise, really, when you think this is the hell she decided to die on, of teaching kids about scat porn, which, don't hire leftists. You know, when your kid's been taught about scat porn at school, what's wrong with you?
The problem is, though, the incentive structures all the way down do incentivize this. So you've got the World Economic Forum setting policy on social and emotional learning, which involves these kind of principles. You've got the UN's 21 AIDS principles, not a joke, that says that children can consent to sex and that not giving them gender-affirming care is child abuse, and that this is part of their 2030 agenda that seeks to make education a right. So that's baked into their curriculums, which obviously quite a few lazy midwits that work in schools will just pull from because they'll just do the appeal to authority fallacy. And then when the teachers' unions, which obviously control all the striking and said whether or not the school should stay open under COVID and all that, they're flooded by Marxists, because most unions are. So most of the power structures will keep people like this in place and incentivize the schools to hire them.
You've got these weird, like, elements that will sit around applauding it, of course, but if you're in a school board, I mean, you don't have to tolerate it.
Yeah.
I mean, factually so, in this case. She actually tries to justify it, though, real quick, before we get to what ended up happening to her. She decided to say that she had to show the kids this. She had to let them know about her kink list. Because, well, over the years, Bonner had watched as her students graduate to college, only to return a year later, she says, because they had a tough time accumulating to a bigger, more diverse space. I don't know how much scat porn's going on at those universities, but I don't really think that's what brought them back. Quote, "I wanted to do something to support them," said Bonner, who also has a 10-year-old son. "I'm sorry, lad." After listening to her students' questions and interests, Bonner structured a curriculum that she says included a diverse library of texts, including books centering Black, Indigenous, and LGBT characters and themes. Presumably she read them. If she didn't, well, you were a bad teacher. And if you did, you're a very bad teacher, to put this in front of kids. More than 1,600 books were banned during the 2021-2022 school year, right, NBC News. They don't tell you what was in them. They don't tell you what's about. None of the titles. Quite a lot of uses of the word queer, but never mind. Read them in your own time. Find out what on earth those terrible schools are doing by banning just books, nothing more. More copies of Jugs down the drain. More than half of the books banned or challenged had LGBTQ themes, they write. I mean, I don't know how they could do this to Jugs. A wonderful outlet for LGBTQ youth, I'm sure. The day after Bonner learned about the police report, she received a letter from the school district saying she'd been put on administrative leave. And this is what I mean. Like, you don't have to tolerate it.
Yep.
No one at any level has to tolerate this, no matter how many particles higher up in our society keep applauding this crap. You just go, not even thank you very much. Really?
Yeah.
Just get lost. It's actually something wrong with you.
Yeah. Okay,
And
groomer.
when it comes down to it, people are going to agree with that decision. If you instead keep them on, as we've seen in other school situations, people get quite mad, rightfully so. Bonner said she also then decided to resign. Which, I mean, she did something wrong, is all I can get from that. The following Thursday, the school district held a special board meeting and voted unanimously to accept Bonner's resignation. And, what a thing. Why would you put your list of scat porn and everything else in front of kids? I mean, we've gone through, ideologically, that's where she's ended up as a person. I don't know what the hell she does with her life now. Good luck, I suppose. Ever having a job ever. And that's the reason you should never go down these routes. But of course, I mean, can we really blame this moron for thinking that's okay? I mean, as you alluded to, the power structures are that way. And one of the things that really perked my interest this morning, as I saw the Secretary of State of the United States started to come up with a wonderful, wonderful statement recently. He's talking about It Hobbit Day. You know what? It Hobbit Day?
It Hobbit Day?
It Hobbit Day.
Bless you? I don't know what's happening.
It's not caught on like Christmas yet.
Oh,
but
blimey.
there we have. International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, blah, 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 you know.
I'm staying in bed that day.
The crap. So like, we haven't actually figured out any of these go together. Instead, I'm going to shove transphobia with homophobia. That doesn't make sense, because if you can't be homosexual without being transphobic. This is the ideological problems here of what you're doing. That's why I'm calling it trash.
Are you telling me I can't be homophobic, biphobic, interphobic, and transphobic all at once, Callum?
You can. I think you can do it all at once.
Watch me.
You can try. That's for sure. But you definitely can't be non-homophobic and also not be transphobic. That don't work. And the Secretary's going to make it even clearer that none of this works, because he says on that day of calling for an end to all homophobia, biphobia, interphobia, and I don't know what interphobia even is.
Intersex phobia?
We call for an end to harmful conversion therapy practices, including those that attempt to change a person's sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, or sex characteristics.
That was accidentally, accidental true wording, but he doesn't mean that.
Local leftist accidentally calls for the ending of transitioning people and then realizes nothing, presumably. I don't know if you could see, there's an awful lot of comments and not a lot of likes, because
Yeah, there's 700 quote retweets.
the point I'm referencing this is not because local man who works for the Biden administration and is hugely powerful is retarded. That's given. What's new about this is that not even his own writings make any kind of sense
Yep.
in any way, and people correctly can see this. But that's my point back to the lady from previous. I mean, I can't really blame her for being as retarded to sit there and think, oh, this is okay, I'll put this in front of kids. When the higher-ups who are telling you that this is okay are just as brain-dead by the looks of it.
Thank you very much for watching that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. And if you want to support our work, make sure to sign up to our website where we have videos like this. This is Contemplations, which is my series, and this is episode 124, How to Think Better, where I look at ways of mitigating cognitive biases. And also, if you want to support us on social media, my Twitter is Twitter/Josh Firm. Thank you for watching.